News tonight, a major escalation is unfolding in the Middle East this evening.
Iran has launched a large-scale missile attack on Israel. Dozens of ballistic missiles and over 100 drones were fired toward key cities, including Tel Aviv and Israel. Let's take a live look now at Tel Aviv, where explosions rocked the city in an overnight attack. You're looking at rescue operations after a building was struck by a missile that made it past Israel's Iron Dome defense system. Iran says it's targeted dozens of military centers and air bases belonging to Israel, but many of the targets are near densely populated civilian areas. This comes after Israel launched a barrage of airstrikes into Iran, killing top generals and leading nuclear scientists. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Operation Rising Lion is a targeted attack on Iran's nuclear program, which he called a threat to Israel's very survival.
We have no choice. We are operating against an imminent and existential threat. We cannot allow the Iranian regime to obtain a nuclear weapon that would be a danger to Israel and the entire world.
President Donald Trump has just convened a cabinet-level meeting to discuss the U.S.'s response.
Yeah, CBS 12 News has live team coverage this evening. Our reporter Atra El-Nashar asking if the United States could be drawn into a conflict.
But first, there are thousands of Americans currently visiting Israel, many of them caught in the middle of this escalating conflict. A personal connection to tonight's breaking story, our producer Sam Sullivan is currently in Jerusalem. He and dozens of other American tourists were forced to take shelter in a bomb bunker as air raid sirens went off across the city. CBS 12's Katie Benty joins us in the newsroom with his story. Katie?
Liz, it was supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime trip, a chance to walk the streets of Jerusalem, learn the history, and connect to his faith. But instead, our producer, Sam Sullivan, was woken up to sirens, had to race down to a bomb shelter deep underground his hotel. Huddled underground, 2 floors below a hotel in Jerusalem.
It's hard to describe. I mean, just getting goosebumps thinking about it.
CBS 12 News producer Sam Sullivan never thought his birthright trip to Israel would land him here.
It's a bomb shelter / synagogue. It's all put into one. Yeah, they've got these big doors right here.
He and his brother were woken up around 3 a.m. to the sound of sirens.
Everybody started to flood down here. Some people were asleep, so they had to be woken up by their roommates.
The alert came just hours after Israel launched a massive strike on Iran, hitting nuclear sites and killing high-ranking officials. Iran responded with a wave of drones and missiles. And for Sam, inside that hotel bunker overnight, the threat felt close.
You're on edge, you're antsy, and, we've just kind of been taught to be alert, so it's just kind of all those emotions wrapped into one.
This is where Sullivan spent the night with hundreds of other travelers, waiting, wondering, and hoping.
Just different rooms where people are just able to sit in here and wait for the news of what's going on and when the siren stops. So yeah, it was a very populated area last night.
After the first alert, they were cleared to go back to their rooms, but that didn't last long.
We were just going to bed, me, my brother, and my roommate, and then it's like you're shooting back up like, okay, like this is it right now. Like we have to go right now. There's no hesitation. This isn't a joke.
The next morning, movement above ground was limited. Most places stayed closed, and groups couldn't be larger than 5, an impossible rule for Sullivan's 40-person travel group. But even with the uncertainty, Sullivan saw something else: pride, resilience, and strength.
I guess you could say they were excited or relieved to hear that their country was defending themselves and preventing anything from happening to them.
Sullivan says the trip is now in limbo. Many of the sites that they had planned to see are closed, and if the violence does escalate, their flight home could come a lot sooner than they expected. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Katie Benty, CBS 12 News.
The Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County also reacting to the escalating military operation. President and CEO Michael Hoffman says that the strikes are not only vital for Israel's national security, but also play a crucial role in protecting global stability. Take a listen.
Israel and Iran have been in an overt, if not covert, conflict since 1979. And so this is a situation that I think Israelis knew was a necessary step to ensure their safety, their security, and to ensure the vibrancy of the Jewish people, both in Israel and also worldwide.
President Donald Trump has spent hours in the Situation Room today meeting with his national security team as tensions with Iran escalate.
Now, Iran has officially withdrawn from scheduled nuclear talks with the United States, casting some serious doubt on the future of the negotiations that had been aimed at preventing Tehran from developing a nuclear weapon.
CBS's Atra El-Nashar has more on how this is unfolding, a crisis that's impacting the United States and its global standing.
Soon after news broke Thursday night of Israel's strikes on Iran, the Trump administration issued its first comment, stressing, "We are not involved." A close ally to Israel and in the middle of nuclear talks with Iran, the U.S. was already in a position to be pulled into what comes next. Iran suspending talks with the U.S. indefinitely, claiming the attacks were carried out with the cooperation, coordination, or at least they say a green light from the United States, saying the U.S. must be held accountable. President Trump telling Reuters, "We knew everything and I tried to save Iran humiliation and death. I tried to save them very hard because I would have loved to have seen a deal worked out. They can still work out a deal, however. It's not too late." Members of Congress are wary of a regional conflict breaking out, but are showing different levels of concern about U.S. forces getting involved. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says Iranian officials who survived Israel's initial strikes should agree to abandon their nuclear program. Quote, "If not, America, the greatest power for good on earth, should be all in to help Israel finish the job." Top Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee, Jack Reed, calling Israel's actions a reckless escalation. He says, "I urge both nations to show immediate restraint, and I call on President Trump and our international partners to press for diplomatic de-escalation before this crisis spirals further out of control." It's inevitable the U.S. will feel an economic impact from this conflict. Stocks were down Friday over the geopolitical instability, and oil prices saw an immediate spike. Gas Buddy's Patrick DeHaan tells me he expects gas prices to rise 10 to 25 cents over the next couple of weeks.
Conflict increases risk of oil flows being disrupted. The degree of what happens from here on out depends on the degree in which Iran responds, or if Israel escalates the situation and has new attacks.
So far, de-escalation seems out of the question. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.